We are live.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We're going to give you guys a few minutes to get settled in, get your cocktails, and let's get ready to enjoy our special guest tonight, our boss lady.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I wish I would have brought me something to
Oh, me too.
sip.
That's how it is when you're doing the live. You be going a million miles an hour. You forget everything. It's like, I just got to be on.
Listen, you just hoping it worked this time. You never know
Hey,
with the...
Fifi, I see you, girl. I love you.
Yeah.
Felicia is the first person to join my live. That's what's up. I love you, Fee.
All right, forgive me, y'all. My lighting is a little messed up. Let's see.
Let everybody know we on right now, Fifi.
Listen, if y'all have questions too, drop them. We got 4 watchers right now. We got 3-4 people watching right now. So if y'all have questions about anything you
Hey,
want
we
me to
trying
answer,
to ask Miss Jessica Ross, the owner of JR Counseling and Sexual and Mental Health, some questions that a boss need answers to. Make sure you guys drop your comments and questions. Join us, y'all. We want to get some interaction going on.
hey, Nakia.
All right. Hey, Nakia.
Hey,
Thanks for
Felicia.
joining us.
All right,
We're
you
going to give
all.
everybody just a few more minutes to start jumping in and jumping on.
Yeah.
Can a boss find a good man? That's what we want to know tonight, ladies. And if you guys have any other questions, while we got the lady, our boss, in the house, we're going to get the answers tonight, y'all. Don't be scared. I told y'all, get your cocktails and let's get at it.
Listen, and I'm
Rolling. Hey,
curious.
Kat.
If anybody found a good man, what are your tips?
Yes, yes. Hey, Kat, I love you, cuz. Let everybody know we live. Oh yeah, Kat, I know you got some questions. I know you got some questions. Go ahead and drop them now. All right, it's about 9:02, guys. We're gonna give everybody about 3 more minutes. We're gonna get it kicking at 9:05. So let's give everybody a few more minutes. Come on, ladies, jump in. I've been waiting all week.
Look.
Come
Turn
on.
the music back up so I can jam a little bit while we're waiting.
You said you need me to turn the music up?
Yeah, give me a little more music while we're waiting.
Yes. Hold on, I want to turn the music up. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, y'all see I got my boss on tonight. Wait, let me see if y'all can see it.
Look at you looking good.
Okay. We got our boss on live tonight. The professional.
Look.
Owner of JR Counseling, Lord. I ain't had nothing to drink y'all yet. I'm telling you. Sexual and mental health. I'm going to let her introduce herself in just a second. We're giving everybody about 2 more minutes to join in. And we're going to let Miss Jessica introduce herself. I have some good questions for her. And I need y'all to drop y'all's questions. Oh, wait a minute. Did Kat say what we talking about? We talking about bosses and men. Yeah, we know you know about that. So let's get it cracking. Put your questions down there, cuz.
Look, I'm ready. And I don't know what she's going to ask me, y'all, so, but I'm ready. I have
That's right.
answers.
My sister, stay ready.
Thank you for everybody that is joining. Hey, Terrain.
Hey, T. I knew you wasn't going to miss it. Love you, sis. Thanks for joining. You right on time. We got about 1 more minute and we getting ready to get it started. I know it's late, but I thank you ladies for joining us in this evening. Grab your cocktail, wind down. Let's get some information. Let's stay bossed up in 2021. That's how we coming. We're going to get educated. We're going to learn some things.
Is this your boss playlist? Is that what this is?
Ah, yeah, this is the boss playlist, y'all. Yeah. All right. Listen, ladies, I'm going to step away. Turn the music down just a little bit so we can get started. We can't hold Miss Ross all night, but we got it for now.
Listen. All right, excuse me for 1 second. All right, give me 1 second.
All right, take your time.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to start? Are we ready to kick it off?
Yes. Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you all to Coco Boss's very first, but not last, live. Thank you for joining. I'm hoping more join in, but for those ain't here, you missing out. We got Miss Jessica Ross, owner of JR Counseling, Sexual and Mental Health. And Miss Jessica, can you please introduce yourself to well, everybody, you already know she a boss. So I'm gonna have her introduce herself and give us your credentials and let us know you the real deal.
All right. So as she said, I am Jessica Ross. I'm located in Sterling Heights, Michigan. That's where my private practice is. I do both individual and couples counseling, and then I do consulting across the country. So that's a bit of the beginning piece. As far as my credential, I'm a certified sex therapist. That's one of the reasons why I'm talking to you all today. But I'm also a trauma specialist, and I do general mental health and general therapy too. So a lot of what I have studied, what I have lived is what I do on an everyday basis.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for that. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments for us. Now, before we get to the meat and potatoes, literally, I want Miss Jessica to explain to us what kind of people see a sex therapist, because a lot of times when you hear the word therapist, you think bad problems, so what can you do for bosses that feel like we good? You know what I mean? Like, we good. How can you improve? How can we improve by talking to a sex therapist if we feel like we straight on that topic?
Oh man, what a big question. Short version is like the beginning piece is some people see me for tune-ups, for check-ins, just to see how they're doing. They're not necessarily doing bad, but they feel like they could gain some insight, some introspection to self. So therapy is not just for general therapy right now. It's not just for people who are not doing well, but it's also for people who want to gain some awareness, some insight, and then learn how to apply that to themselves, right? You don't have to necessarily have been through something negative or traumatic to go to therapy, or stressful. Sometimes, again, it's just you wanting to look into you and get to know you a little bit more. In terms of sex therapy, people come and see me for all sorts of reasons. So low sexual desire, high sex drive, non-concordance, meaning their sex drive doesn't match their partner's drive. Their body is turned on, but their mind might not be. Pain with sex. And this is for men or women. So I see both, and I see couples. People who one partner likes X, partner B likes something else, and they're trying to figure out, well, how can I get my partner to try this? How can we explore? How can we try new things? What does that look like? So some of it is real in-depth work, helping people learn how to have sex again, how to re-engage in intimacy or connection or be vulnerable with each other. And some of it's exploration, some of it's play, some of it's kink. the list just goes on and on. And so I see couples well into their 90s. I have couples well into their 90s that I see who still just want to figure out how to be sexual. And when I say sexual, I don't mean like intercourse, penis and vagina sex, but just how to engage with each other's body, how to engage with each other physically or mentally. So coming to see me as a boss just gives you the opportunity to learn a little bit more about how your body works. Again, sometimes I'm just doing educational. People are like, okay, what are these parts and how do they work? Help me on that. What happens in menopause? Let's talk about that. So it's an A to Z kind of thing, and then a Z to A, right? Front and back.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies, listen, we got the real deal on here today. So if you are not on, I'm telling you, get on right now. I love it. Thank you for that, Jessica. Now, a lot of my bosses are 30 and over, and some are single by choice, chance, or not, right? One of my questions was, do you think that a dominant personality has anything to do with deterring a man? Because, you know, you've got women that are like quiet, and then you got big mouths like me, right? And I don't know, is it like, is it the man? Are some men just like afraid of women that are outgoing and, you know, they the life of the party, they bust in like me and my girl T?
The answer is yes and no. So statistically speaking, it is a lot harder for educated women who have had secondary degrees, who hold businesses, that kind of thing, to find and are keeping women. And I should be specific, educated Black women, that it is challenging for them. And so some of it is, let me make it plain. Men are taught in this generation and the previous generation, 30 and up, that they need to be needed. That if they're not needed, they're not doing anything. So they are supposed to be the provider. They are supposed to be financially providing. They're supposed to take care of the home. They're supposed to be making all of the decisions. And whatever you do in your house, that's cool. If you're traditional, that's cool. I'm not knocking you. Everybody runs their house there that way. But one of the things that any couple has to understand, anybody who wants to be in a couple, you need to be with a partner who wants you, who desires you, who chooses you, not a partner who needs you, who's dependent on you. That's a whole different level. And so, in my opinion, it's just my little humble opinion, a lot of what's threatened in that dynamic is that there is a power struggle, that you don't want your woman to be seen as stronger than you. You're supposed to be dominant. You're supposed to be the caretaker, but that might not be your role. That might not be what you are good at. I myself am a pretty, dominant kind of person. You have to
that's two of us.
Yeah, like that's just how it rolls. And so you have to find a partner who you mesh with well, who you vibe with well, who you can be a strength-based couple with well. I might be good at moving money, but you're good at making the decisions. I might be good at making things happen and providing and giving what the house needs, but maybe you're good at the emotional part. So we need to be able to complement each other. But couples for so long, honestly, Vaughn, they've been competing because men have a role and women have a role. And again, I'm not knocking you if you're traditional and that's the kind of couple you want, but find a partner who wants you, because when they want you and desire you, that doesn't change. Need is a threatened space, because the moment you can live without me, I don't seem to serve purpose in your world. And to tell you the truth, I'm sure most of the bosses on here can relate to, I don't need you, not in the sense of I need you to take care of me or I need you to do anything for me, but I would like you here. I would like you in my life. I would want to choose to spend time with you. So.
Okay. All right. So we got a question. Let's talk a little bit about, let's get some tips on long distance relationships. You know, I've had long distance relationships, and you know, some worked, some didn't. But can you give the ladies who are in a long, or even and ladies, if you've been in a long distance relationship, maybe drop some questions or some advice in the comments too.
Mm-hmm.
But give us some advice on what people in a long distance relationship can maybe do to sustain that relationship, or, you know, strengthen it, or even maybe rekindle it.
Mm-hmm. My answer is super simple. Talk. So, and when I say super simple, people, we talk at each other. And distance is a thing because you're not able to be physically intimate. And again, I don't mean sex here, but I mean that comfort of knowing somebody else's heat is in that space, knowing somebody else is sharing space with you. So part of it is, in the beginning, before you agree to long distance, I need you to have a very clear contract, a very clear understanding of how are we operating? How are we operating emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, psychologically, financially, personally, professionally. I need you to go down this list, and I need to understand, how do we operate? How do we resolve conflict in these particular areas? And how do we make changes if necessary? So
now let me jump
in.
in real quick. I know men usually are not talkers on the phone. Like, even when you're in a long distance relationship, sometimes men like just do not do that phone thing. Now, we're talkers as women. We can be on the phone for 3 hours and be talking about whatever, right? But for men, sometimes it's like, you'll be like, you there? Babe, you still there? I know you ain't going to sleep on me.
But you know what? Sometimes it's not. So when I say talk here, I'm talking about in the beginning. When you are setting up this long distance thing, you talk then. As things go on, you don't have as much to talk about sometimes. And like you said, sometimes men aren't talkers, but I know women who aren't either. A part of that is, what does it mean to share space? When we are not in the same city, state, country, what does it mean for us to share space? How do we protect that space? How do we deal when we have physical needs or emotional needs that are a requirement for us? And so my thing is, be truthful. Don't set yourself up for failure. You know, you like to have sex 3-4 times a week, and you know this person is in Spain and you're in the US. Be for real. Here's what I like. Here's what I need. Can we talk about how we might be creative in that? Right.
Wow.
Okay. So yeah, I think long distance relationships are challenging. They're a lot of work because it is a lot of talking and a lot of creativity. But it's one of those yes and no things. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, you got that right. Okay, so you and I are both married, and we're both bosses. And I know with me, I can dump a lot on my husband. You know, like from my day to what's going on to you name it. I can be a dump truck. Okay. What do you think about when you're first meeting somebody? Can you dump too much on them? Like, can you dump so much on a man that he feels like, I don't want this because you got way too much drama going on? And maybe you look at it like, I'm just venting because, you know, we talking and I'm just telling you how it was going. But does that dump, you know, does that scare men off? Like when you first meet a guy and you just.
So because you're asking me this, and I have to have my therapy hat on answering this question, I have to say yes and no. Okay. I would say that most people in the world and most men are going to answer you, and they're going to be like, absolutely, she too needy. She wants too much. She talked too much. But from a therapeutic standpoint, I look at people's attachment styles. So that means I try to figure out, are you the kind of person who needs intimacy, a high level of it? Or are you the kind of person who values autonomy? And what attachment says is, if I value autonomy, if I'm a distant, more insecurely attached person, and I like to be by myself and not bothered, then somebody who is high intimacy, and typically in society we call the people needy, but in my opinion, it's just again, it's a high need for intimacy just based on childhood experiences. But in that, you have to find a person who matches. most often, I guarantee you 95% of the time, what is happening is a man who is avoidant insecure. That's what we call a person who needs a lot of autonomy. And a person who's insecure, anxious, meaning they need a lot of intimacy. They find each other like freaking magnets. It is crazy. And part of it is because there are more people who are insecurely, avoidantly attached. So they end up back in the dating pool so fast that these other people are finding them. So the idea is not so much that you're scaring off a person because you are too emotional or you're too needy or you talk too much. The idea is that that's not the person for you. If that was a secure attachment for you, then they would be able to listen to you. They would be able to provide the reassurance. They would be able to say to you in a healthy way, hey, this seems like a lot. Maybe I'm not the person to talk to in this moment, but I can be helpful. So I'll give this real quick, and then you can move on to the next question. But there's a video, if you've never seen it, it's the nail in the head video. And it cracks me up every time when I show it to couples and they react. So a woman sitting on the couch, she has a nail in her head. The man is like, so there's a nail in your head. She's like, no, my head just aches. I'm just having such a hard problem. Every time I show men this video or dominant partners, they're like, why don't you just take the nail out of her head? Like, I don't get it. She's getting on my nerve. And the idea is that when a person is healthy for you, they don't care that the nail is in the head. They care about what you're describing, what you're creating, and providing you the reassurance and the support that you need. So that was a long answer. But the short version of it is, if you ask men, they're going to say, yeah, these women are too needy. If you ask a therapist who understands attachment, they're going to say, no, they're just mismatched. They're not finding their right style of person in the dating pool.
Okay. So my next question, I don't want to put like God in the mix right now because we're talking about the good stuff. But for women for the bosses out there that are single,
mm-hmm.
and maybe they're just that right person has not come along yet, and they're starting to feel like long is too long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What can they do to kind of get out of their own head? You know what I mean? Like, I know some women who are like, it's been like 10,000 months, and it's just too long.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go find somebody.
Yeah.
How do you kind of cope with that when you're single, you're a boss, you got a career, you got things going on, and you're not 19?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not going out to the clubs every night.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we are, half the men are married and, have got, right?
Yeah.
So whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that as a woman over 30? And I may have grown kids or maybe teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not married. What can those bosses do? Like, what can they do when you're feeling like, oh my God, I haven't had any in a year? You know what I'm saying?
Buy a good vibrator.
It's like, how do we talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, first off, you buy a really good vibrator. But outside of that piece, honestly, sometimes we have to really self-evaluate. Patience is a virtue. We are so quick to want to be in a couple, in a relationship, that we don't take the time to do self-work. I can't tell you how many women I've come across that they're like, I've been single for 10 years. Okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, I've been single for 20 years. I've been single for 5 for 1 year. I've been by myself. And I'm like, yeah, but have you worked on yourself? Well, I've been by myself. I didn't date nobody. I turned people down. But have you worked on yourself? Being by yourself, working on yourself are not the same. Okay. And so part of that is, sometimes we need to slow down and really evaluate, why am I in a rush to be in a couple? And I'm saying rush. It's been 10 years, but I'm saying rush. So part of it is, why am I in a rush to be with somebody? What is it that I'm missing? What are my needs in this situation? And what is helpful to me to fulfill those needs, right? So we are so busy looking at, well, he don't have a car, can't mess with him. He got kids, can't mess. Like, all this stuff comes up, right? I'm trying not to curse. And so part of what happens, in my opinion, is that, okay, let's slow down. I need you to start figuring out, who a man is rather than what he is, or who a partner is rather than what he is, or what they are. I need you to figure out, what do you need? Oh, I need this. No. Do you need stability? Do you need companionship? Do you need safety? Do you need trust? What do you need? And then start, when you get ready to date, whether you online or going out, when a person approaches you, you want to have that in mind. How do they talk to me? What do they say to me that checks off my list of, oh, this person was compassionate. Oh, this person was trustworthy, or whatever it is. So that's part of that. But honestly, if you're alone for that long and you're trying to wait on a partner, start looking inward. Start figuring out what your patterns are, why you may be attracting people that are no good for you, what might need to change in your own world so that you can make space for a healthy partner. And let me say this last thing. Here's what I see most often. Women won't let go of yesterday.
Oh.
Therefore,
Okay.
everybody want a new partner, but nobody
Yes.
wants to let go of their old partners, their old style of thinking, their old stuff. So we get all shiny and new, but baby, the inside is still the same. So
Okay. So what about the women that feel like, I don't need no man? Is that a front?
listen, yes and no. That's gonna be my answer to a lot of things. We all have a requirement as humans. This is human nature. It's built into our DNA for, I'm sorry, my phone started ringing. We all have this need for companionship, for closeness, for intimacy. Now, some people have resigned themselves to themselves because they put up a guard that says, I just don't need anybody. I do think, though, on the other hand, that some people reach a place of self-actualization where they become okay with them and existing as them. That doesn't have to mean if I'm okay with me and I've reached self-actualization, I have to shut the world off or shut the possibility of having a partner off. It simply means I'm comfortable with me. And if it comes my way, I'm open to it. I'll accept it. And if it doesn't, I'll be okay with that too.
Okay. All right. Ladies, drop your questions in the comments. One more thing, and I ain't gonna say one more like this is it, but I think this is important. How much do your circle play a part in you finding a good man? So like, oh yes, your sister dropping them good questions on you, girl.
Listen, first off, manage business,
Seriously,
okay?
so how much does that play a part in you finding a good man? Because I know that as women, and all of my bosses know, right? You could be in a relationship and your girl gonna find something wrong with your man. And they're gonna be talking negative about, oh girl, he ain't working, oh girl, he's a user, oh that he not your type. And so those type of things can get in your head. And even though you fighting it and you like, I don't care what they say, that's my boo, right? How much does that play in your security? Like when you feel like, okay, my girl been knowing me for 30 years. We've been best friends for 30 years, or my sisters know me my whole life, right? And they telling you these things about the person that you really feeling. Like, how does that play from a therapist's point of view? How does that play on your mind? Like,
So, first off, I believe in protecting your castle. When I say castle, I mean your couple. You want to keep your business about your couple to yourself. Everyone doesn't need to be in your relationship, okay? So that's number one. Two, friends are designed to be friends. They are designed to look out for you, to have your back, to chat you up when they think you're not doing something. Friends give a lot of advice, even when you don't ask. You're talking about your problem and you're just venting, and they're like, but girl, you shouldn't do that. Girl, nah. So here's the thing, okay? If you need somebody to talk to, call a therapist. I'm a little biased, but talking to your friends is going to get you an opinion. Most people's friends haven't reached a high level of empathy where they can just sit there and listen and be. They got to do this. And so what you really need to do is find a trusted confidant, somebody who is not hand built on giving you their advice, but built on listening to you, maybe helping you gain your own insight. So the thing is, my friends come to me and ask me questions all the time, and I probably respond with, "Oh, so what do you think about that? Oh, so how does that make you feel?" Because you don't need to know how I feel about your partner. That's none of your business, how I feel about your partner, because you are only telling me this much of the story. Now, obviously, in domestic violence and abuse situations, we're talking something different, but you only tell me piece of the story. Okay. And the next day, y'all are all in love. So, and what you might be looking for might not be the same as what I want the world to have for you, right?
Yeah.
Because I adore you as a friend or a sister. So, at the end of the day, you find maybe one person to be a confidant for you. If you're really having struggles and processing issues in your relationship, find you a good therapist to go talk things through. Your therapist is not your friend. I am not going to rah-rah you and hype you up. I'm not going to be on your side or their side, but we're going to talk it through. So you really want to be in that space where keep your private life private.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I know, like, like we've been to therapy, and what I find that we do, and I kind of want to get your tip on this as well, is a lot of times we only go when it's bad, when it's real bad. Then it's like, oh, we better see a therapist, or we gonna be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you like? Do you suggest people? How often do you suggest people come see you? So, if I wanted to say, listen, I want to go see a therapist, maybe in 2021, bosses, this is something that I want to put on my to-do list, is to be able to get my health right, my body right, my mind right, my sexual health right, my whole being. Okay. But of course, I'm not rich and I cannot afford to go every single day. But maybe I could do a online session or something like that. Like, how often would you suggest somebody who considers themselves to be good, I'm straight, I really don't need it, but I'm finna try to better myself for 2021? How often can you tell us that we should maybe seek a therapist,
So
and
I'll
a sex
be
therapist in particular?
Yeah. So let me start by this. Here's why I'm different than another therapist. Most therapists that you go to will not ask you about your sex life, and they will not comfortably talk to you about your sex life. But I guarantee you, if you're experiencing issues in other areas of your world, it is showing up in your sexuality. That could be whether or not you want to talk to a partner, whether or not you want to have sex with a partner, whether or not you have desire, whether or not you have too much. So, so number one, if stuff is happening in one part of your world, sex is a part of your regular world, that's probably impacted. Outside of that, I'll be general here. If you come and show up in my office and you're like, I'm all good, I'm wonderful, I just want to check in, I'm still going to tell you that for 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to see each other every single week for 4 to 6 weeks. And here's why. Your version of what you believe is good for some people is it's candy coating. Okay. For some people, it's real. And like I said, they just want to work on the inside, but I can't help you if I don't know you. You showing up in my office this week and I don't see you for 4 more weeks and I'm only seeing you for a 50-minute period of time. I don't know you. So I need about a good first time you show up, some people are either giving it all to you or they're frozen. Okay. So I'm not really getting a good shot of everything. The second time you show up, you a little bit more comfortable because you've seen my face, you get me, you understand a little bit, but you still don't know how I operate. You still haven't figured out yet if I'm judging you, right? Because people assume that that's what's happening. By the third session, you a little bit more comfortable and you're talking about the past and the future. By the fourth session, we have a rapport now. You understand how I operate. By then, you know the question I'm going to start the session with. So it's that 4 to 6 weeks is very important in building and establishing a rapport with the therapist. You really do need a rapport. After that, then we could say, all right, check, let's go to bi-weekly, check in with me every 2 weeks. Let's go to monthly, you really don't need. So it's, in general, that's how it works. So if you're coming to my office, we're seeing each other at least 4 times within a month's time. Now, I will say people show up, they want a specific type of service that I offer. Not all therapists do this, where they want to, they do a block of time. So we might do a 2-hour block this week and a 2-hour block next week, where they are getting a specific relationship service from me or woman in business service for me. So it really just depends. But quite honestly, even if you just are going to work on yourself and everything is good, build a rapport with that person first, because they may not be a good fit for you.
Yeah. So how deep can you get with your therapist?
Don't
I mean,
listen.
I'm just like, because for some people, the topic of just sex alone is taboo. It's like as a young girl, you're taught be a lady, sit up straight, cross your legs, and and be good. So, like, but of course we turn into young women and we're grown, we're good and grown. So, like, how deep can you get with the therapist? I mean, like, not to get into any details, but I just kind of want to let the bosses know, like, what they could be comfortable talking to you about, because you go to the therapist and you're like you said, you don't know me, you got to get to know me, I got to get to know you. But if I really want to talk to somebody about some deep, heavy stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to scare this lady off.
So
Like,
usually
how
people
deep
show
can
up
we
and
get?
they're like, yeah, people show up and they're like, oh my God, this is gonna freak you out, or this is weird. And people say that, like they warn you. But quite honestly, tell your therapist the truth and tell them the whole story and give them all the details that they need to be supportive of you. I have heard everything. It is, for me personally, as a therapist, there is nothing you could tell me, not about sex, not about anything, that I'm be like, huh. And if I don't know, my response is probably going to be like, can you tell me a little bit more about that? I'm not familiar with that particular kind of thing. Example, I am familiar with this, but let's say I wasn't. Like, puppy play is something that people do in sexual activity. And so part of that is, people might show up and be like, I don't want to tell the therapist that, but I'm having an issue in that area. And so and by puppy play, no animals are hurt. All it is one partner is dressing up like a puppy.
Oh, Lord.
And the other partner is pretending to be like the owner. So there are no actual animals or anybody. But, part of, if somebody showed up and let's say they assumed I didn't know, I would, tell me more about that. Well, what is that like for you? Well, how did you choose that? How did you get into it? And so it's not a judgment thing. So talk to your therapist, tell your therapist the truth. Now don't get me wrong, I have boundaries. There are certain things that, but not really boundaries that relate to what you need to tell me. Boundaries like, here's what you're not going to call me.
Right, and you're not gonna be no weirdo in my office. You know what I'm talking about.
So, you know what I mean? Like, no, we don't touch.
Right, there you go.
You
Oh,
know,
we
those
ain't having
kind of
that.
things. So I do have those kind of ethical boundaries, but in general, you can talk to me about anything. Now, there are some things that people will say to me. Example, I have several clients who are white or another nationality, and they are feeling things about the whole Black Lives Matter thing that's going on. And they'll say, you know what? I have worked on everything in my life with you, but you're not the person for me to process this with.
Wait
Like,
a minute. I was just about to say that. I was about to ask you, sort of like that, but I was about to ask you, do people sometimes look at you like, oh my gosh, she looks young? She is
oh yeah.
not going to understand what I'm trying to talk about because she looks young.
And
Although they
sometimes they'll
don't
say
know
that.
that, you're married. They don't know that you have children. They don't know that, everything about you and your education. But they might be like, oh, walk in and be like, oh, she a baby. You can't do nothing with this sugar.
Yeah. Oh, they do that. They do that nonstop. Well, how old are you? Well, I'm gonna tell you about this song, but you probably don't know what it is. Like that. So they do
Right.
stuff like that. And I just go, then we talk about preconceived notions. You walked in my office wanting me not to judge you and make assumptions about you. And yet you have decided you knew who I was just based off of what I look like.
Right.
How
Right.
often do you do something like that in your life? So yeah, it happens. People make assumptions about me all the time that I'm going to answer a certain way because I'm Black or because I'm a woman. Or again, most people think, oh, you must have just graduated, you must be in your 20s. Like, people
Girl,
say
you a
all
babe.
sorts of stuff.
You my
Okay,
babe.
listen. So it happens. I saw a question though in the comments that I wanted
Yes,
to
I was gonna get to
answer.
that. Yes, go ahead.
So what is that? So about the, if you love a man more, is he more likely to stay? Listen, first off, I will say that men, statistically speaking, are less likely to leave a bad situation, bad marriage, bad relationship than women are. Men will stay a lot longer. They feel a lot of guilt, a lot of responsibility. And so they will sit in a bad situation. Now, women are more likely to leave. They're more likely to walk away. And I'm not talking about abusive situations, but just in general, like a bad marriage or a bad relationship, a lot of men will sit still. Now, in terms of if they love you more, here's the thing, ladies. Love is two things, either a verb or it's a feeling. So I need to know if you're asking me about love the verb or love the feeling, because love the feeling is fleeting. Okay. I might love you today and I don't love you tomorrow because you pissed me off and spilled my coffee. Okay. Um, but love the verb is just how I show my action. I bought you a coffee this morning. I showed you that I cared about you and that you were valuable to me. So I can't really answer that question specifically. The idea is, does my partner find me valuable? Does my partner desire a relationship with me? Do I bring something to their life that they feel is important to them? And so it's not so much like, does he love me more than him? Because I hear that all the time. Did you find the right partner? That is the question. Did you find somebody that was an appropriate and healthy attachment match, history match, strength match for you? Okay. So,
Okay. I got a quick question. Is it still cool to have booty calls? I mean, I'm just asking for my single bosses because, finding a man out here, it really is easier said than done.
be safe.
And I have a lot of friends who are like, listen, there are no men out here. And for the ones that are out here, they're either married, gay, or weirdos, right? So, like, I'm just trying to understand it. Like,
Safe sex is the best sex. I will say that. Do what you want to do. You free, you're an adult, but be safe. Ask questions, get a rapid test first. Ask for test results. I think people don't do that. They're like, oh yeah, they said they got tested. But I guarantee you, I probably get at least 10 people a year who show up in my office for therapy because the person told them that they had been tested. And the truth is they hadn't. And so they ended up with some long-term STI. So yeah, like it's cool. Do your thing. Make sure you understand the limits.
Okay, so I haven't been single in 25 years, but so people still be like, how do you, what you supposed to say? Like when you asking somebody to get tested or whatever, or
Flat out,
do people still just use condoms automatically? Like what does it look like in today's world, just for us ladies who don't know?
Number one, yes, you should still use condoms. They still sell them. Walmart, Walgreens, gas station. Okay. Bring your own. Okay. Because people tend to poke holes in them. So bring your own. They still have women versions of those. They have, dental dams and things that are protective and help you safe. They have the saran spaces. If you're just, I can't think what you call them right now. If you're just doing oral, they have condoms for if you are, using digital manipulation that go on your fingers to be protective. So there's all sorts of things that you can use and find to keep yourself protected and safe. So make whatever choice you want to make, but make sure, one, you have an understanding and are expecting more and they aren't expecting more.
Girl, these virgin ears, hunty.
Listen,
these are virgin ears.
And I don't believe in beating around the bush. You look them straight in the eyes. So let me see your test. When we meet up, I need you to have that with you. Or we can go together. Or there's a drugstore in the corner. I think there was an episode of Mary Jane where she was like, no, we can do this, but we gonna stop at Walgreens. We're gonna run this rapid test and then we gonna get down. So just be safe. It ain't no raw in the world that's worth your life. Somebody asked about private payer insurance. I'm both. I only take 4 insurances, but I'm also located in Michigan for anybody that didn't know. I might be licensed in Ohio soon, but we'll see how that works. So
wait a minute. So can people hear private pay to see you?
So the answer is no, because I'm not licensed in Ohio. So and our license isn't portable in that way. Now, technically with COVID and everything, they are allowing some flexibility on that. But yeah, technically, no, I'm not supposed to practice out of state.
So listen, bosses, that's why we got our own boss, Miss J, Jessica Ross in the house, giving us that knowledge on Cocoa Bosses. I am so grateful. I'm so happy to have her, you know, because in a time like this, we really gotta get out here and get it, y'all. We gotta 2021, we gonna boss all the way up. And we are going to have her back. She is a part of our community. You know, we want to thank her for her time tonight. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them real quick because we are about to wrap this up. But I want to thank everybody for showing up and participating. I love you guys, and we're going to keep doing this. Like, this is our first, but definitely not our last. And I'm just excited that she is ours, y'all. So listen, if you know somebody who didn't catch the live, tell them about it. You guys, you know, we're going to continue to do this. If you have an idea for a topic, just email them. And I want Jessica to give us her information on how we can check you out on social media. We can check you out on YouTube. You guys know she's already on Cocoa Boss's page. If you haven't seen her, scroll through the timeline. You'll see her link to her YouTube page. And you can watch some of her episodes in private and learn something. You know, don't learn too much where you be having questions coming to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna say shout out to Valen, one of my fellow sex therapists, who's also a boss. I see her on here, and she's located in North Carolina, I think. For anybody who is down that area,
wait a
who might
minute,
need
we
a sex therapist.
You said North Carolina? Okay, so now on that note, because you are licensed in Michigan, so ladies, if you are from Michigan or you know someone in Michigan, they can hit up JR Counseling. But is it okay if our bosses reach out to you, Jessica, and maybe if you know somebody in another state, they able to hit you up on social media and say, hey, I live in North Carolina. Do you have any connects down there?
Absolutely. So a couple of things. So you can check out my website. That's Jessica L. J. Ross, ROSS.com. And on there is tons of resources, tons of printouts just about everything from, again, menopause, how to buy lubricants, how to buy vibrators, how to talk to your partner, like all sorts of stuff is on the website. There you can also subscribe to the newsletter. The newsletter goes out once a month, and included is just some quick tips and information that I typically provide. That is also where you can find the sex ed for adult videos that I do, where I interview or have conversations with other professionals from different walks of life and talk about how their profession intersects with mine. So the one that's coming up is with Nicole Johnson. She writes a blog, Dancing Over 30. And so we talk about how dance and sex intersect. So JessicaLJRoss.com. You can catch me on Instagram and Facebook at JR Counseling. And if you hit me on any one of those, I'm welcome. You know, if I know someone, I will send the referral. Also, AASECT, AASECT.org is the sexual health and wellness, certifying body. And you can go on there to find a provider that would be for sexual health. And to be clear, just so you all know, there are sex therapists, there are sex counselors, and there are sex educators, and some people who do a combination of two. And a sex counselor is typically somebody with a medical degree. So there are OBGYNs that are sex counselors, which means they get longer to talk to you, and they're actually going to talk to you about sex, because most OBGYNs will not, or most doctors will not. So there's a diverse background. I'm a therapist. I'm going to talk to you, but I might refer you to a counselor if you need more medical treatment or information, and we would work together to coordinate that. So that hopefully that was helpful.
Oh, of course it was. We is getting the knowledge.
Yeah. So I should mention the YouTube episodes are also Sex Ed for Adults on YouTube, Jessica Ross.
All right, ladies, I hope you guys got that. I am just too overjoyed. I thank you, my love.
I appreciate it. I thank you for inviting me and having me here. I look forward to coming back and catching your other lives. I can't wait to have you back.
So ladies, you got to hit her up. You got to also email me at cocobosses@gmail.com, any topics, because we don't know how often we can get her anytime. But we don't know how often we'll be able to get her. So hit me up, ladies. If you got specific topics that you want to talk about, we could probably have her back. We definitely gonna have her back. It ain't probably to it, but we can have her back. And when she is licensed in Ohio, you guys will be the first to know for sure, so that you can patronize. I want to thank you all again for joining us live. Jessica, one more time, can you give us your information, your Instagram, Facebook, and all that before we close?
Yep, you can catch me on Instagram and Facebook at JR Counseling. You can catch me on the internet at www.jessicaljross.com and on YouTube at JR Counseling. And the videos are sex ed for adults.
All right. Thank you.
Good night,
you.
ladies.
Mwah. Hey, I love you, bosses. And until next time, be good and stay bossed up. Hey. Mwah.
All right.